After Offset criticized Jay Prince for his appearance on $1 Million Worth of Game, Jay Prince responds with, "There will be consequences." What up, world? Your boy Charles Brown back again, talking facts. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe, hit the notification bell. Okay, so it's going to be consequences. Consequences. All right, so let's talk about this. All this real stuff, right? Everybody's real, everybody's street, everybody got a code. And this is what I want to do right now. And most of you already know. You already took your opinions about who's wrong with Jay Prince, who's wrong out of Offset, who's wrong out of Takeoff. So what I'm not going to do is try to regurgitate the whole thing. You've already watched $1 Million Worth of Game, or you wouldn't even be on this video to see my response to it. I'm going to say this, and I'm going to keep it moving, right? At the end of the day, right? And I'm not going to say who's right or who's wrong, right? But there's a lot of things being thrown around about a different cloth. We're cut from this cloth and this code and all these things of that nature. So I'm from that code that's being thrown around, right? And in my code, this wouldn't even be discussed online. I'm just going to start right there. There wouldn't even be a discussion of what happened at an actual murder. I wouldn't be on my 5th, 6th interview about somebody's murder that I claim I had nothing to do with. I wasn't there, and I don't know what happened. Right? Let me just start there. Now, I'm not no thug, no killer, no gangster, right? But I am, unfortunately, from the streets. And I do know how it goes. And one of the things that I do understand is you don't talk about open cases, especially online. So the very first person to start to talk about an open case, you have to look at them as suspect. They have to have an ulterior motive. Let's just take a walk through history. When you've seen somebody talk about an open case, you saw Irv Gotti talk about an open case with 50 Cent. Irv Gotti claimed that 50 Cent opened up a order of protection and he had paperwork. Some people say the paperwork was false. Some people say it's real. Irregardless, it doesn't matter either way, because the simple fact, Irv Gotti's whole point of bringing out the paperwork was to destroy 50 Cent's reputation, one way or the other. So it's not even about the order of protection, whether it's real or not. It's about the motive behind the person showing you the order of protection. So we have to understand, when someone comes with paperwork, they have a motive to pull it out, right? When you are in prison and someone says this person is an informant, the first thing they're going to say is, show me the paperwork. And if you have the paperwork, you're trying to prove that that person is who you say they are. And if you don't have the paperwork, you're going to be in trouble for saying that about that person. But at the end of the day, the only reason you're saying that is to destroy that person's reputation. So the simple fact of the matter is, when these people went onto $1 Million Worth of Game with so-called paperwork about an open case that has one man fighting for his life, right? Let's talk about it. This guy is fighting for his life to not get convicted of this murder. Now, there's only really one way out. If you really are the trigger man, let's say you're the trigger man, there's really only one way out of this murder. It's self-defense. Unless you're going to plead insanity, and that's not happening. So the only way out of this murder is to plead self-defense, right? I'm just being a buck. Don't come for me as if I'm in the middle of this. I'm not. I'm just a guy that got the right to talk about anything I want. And I'm talking about this situation because it's something that's out there in the public. Once you make it public, we all can have an opinion. So I got an opinion. Now, this guy, his only recourse is to plead self-defense, right? Now, DJ Pat is public knowledge that he was arrested for the murder of Takeoff. Now, I don't know what he said publicly because I haven't seen his interview, right? I haven't seen Lil Cam, none of these people's interview. I do keep seeing interviews with Jay Prince Jr. and Jay Prince. I do keep seeing videos of them saying this, saying that. And in my opinion, they're doing more talking for two people who claim to not have been there than the people who said they were. Let me just keep that a buck. Now, this is what it is. I'm not here to call somebody fake, real, or indifferent. I'm just here to talk about the case like everybody else is doing online. And when I see two people who claim to not be there, but they're the only ones seem to be interviewing and putting a spin on it, it starts to make me question the reason that they're doing it. And what I tell you earlier, when you show paperwork on somebody, you have a reason. You're trying to change a narrative, right? So I don't know if the guy's name is Migo Bands is who we're talking about, but apparently in this interview, if I said that wrong, please correct me. But there is a person that was with Takeoff and Quavo that allegedly went a little too far and hit one of the Mob Ties members with a pistol. This is according to Jay Prince's testimony on $1 million worth of game. He tried to pistol whip one of them, therefore they reacted, pulled the trigger. And that's where we end up. So it was more than one person shot. It was, I believe, three people ended up wounded at the end of this melee, right? And there's so many questions to ask yourself. Let's just start here. If everybody's this close enough to get pistol whipped, how did you hit Takeoff in the back of the head? If it's all this pistol whipping and this stuff going on, how do you miss the guy that hit you with the pistol and hit Takeoff? This is the reason you don't do interviews, right? So the reason that the interview is being done, in my opinion, is to spin it into self-defense and save their guy. Which is, it's noble, but you don't do it this way. Right? And in any other situation, let's just be honest. If this was an open murder in any other situation, and somebody's dad went on TV that's claiming to be street, I'm not talking about a regular civilian, that's claiming to be both feet in the street, 10 toes down, and he whips out paperwork about a case that is still in the court system that has not gone to trial yet, and starts calling the person a fool for pistol whipping somebody and blaming it all on that person, what would you say he was doing? I'm going to leave that up to you. I'm going to leave that up to you to say what it is. If you're telling everything that happened, no one knows these details. Even the paperwork that he pulled up, no one saw it before. So this was not public knowledge. Now, again, I'm just trying to have some clarity with this issue because it's all up and down my timeline, and I don't understand how a young man is murdered, but somehow the people on his side of the fence are now being threatened. Right? I never heard, did you hear Offset threaten anybody? I never heard it. Right? I never heard it. Maybe I'm not plugged in. I never heard Offset threaten anyone. I didn't even hear Offset comment on this thing until he was responding to the interview. And somehow Offset responding to the interview made it worse in Jay Prince's mind. He made him madder. And now it's consequences. I watched the video, the follow-up video, very long. I think Quavo's initial video was probably 30 seconds. Jay Prince went on a long rant about everything under the sun about this man. I have this transcript here. Right? He went on Instagram. All Offset says was, are you thinking about his mom when you keep doing these interviews? And do y'all think y'all John Gotti? Right? Because they said, what he said was, don't put me in a position. What Jay Prince told him when he hadn't even spoke out was, don't put me in a position to defend myself. That wouldn't be wise for you. That's a threat. That is a threat. Offset responded to a threat. He basically said, man, I'm not talking about it. Why are you? Pick up the phone and call me. So that somehow made Jay Prince even madder. And now he's on here threatening him, telling him it's consequences to F with me. So how did you go from this family and we love y'all and nothing would have ever happened to you guys if it didn't go down by your own hands to it's going to be consequences and repercussions? In an open murder case, when you're trying to clear your name and make it appear that your team was wrongfully accused and they only acted in self-defense. Now it sounds like you're seeking out one of the I'm not going to say victim, right? But this guy has a reason to be upset. And you're making it like, I'm going to get online and say whatever about you. And anything you say back, I'm going to double down and make it worse. And now I'm going to make it a beef with you. I'm really low key. I'm like confused. I'm low key confused. Because if you had any respect for this man, first of all, you wouldn't have went on the thing and did the interview. Second of all, you wouldn't have made it like you wasn't cool with your brother anyway. What did you say that for? I'm just trying to process why I would go if I'm the man. My son has been accused of being involved with the murder of someone that he was chilling with. That's part of my team that we consider family. We would say it's all family, it's all love. We said it 100 times. Why in the world would I go on there and say, well, you wasn't even close? So this is all behind the scenes. What happened was somebody called him and said, Offset talking crazy about you. That's what really happened. We heard Offset said this and Offset said that. So instead of calling Offset, we don't know if he called him or not. Let's put it like that. I don't know if he called him and he didn't reach him. But instead of waiting to reach him or letting that dial be whatever it's going to be, right? Because if I'm a street dude, I'm not going to give you the heads up that I know you coming. Right? If somebody told him Offset plan and something, he's saying he's going to do this and that, the last thing I'm going online is to tell you that I know that. So what I want to do is all this street code stuff that we keep hearing about. All this street, that. I'm real. Back in my day, this is not how this was played by no stretch. It definitely wouldn't have been online. It wouldn't have been an email. It wouldn't have been a phone call. It wouldn't have been nothing. It would have been like, I'm gonna play this like I don't know what's going on. So when the move is actually made, then I know who did it, right? Now he could change his whole play up and try to come at you a different way. Now it's out in the open so that when stuff goes off, you don't look so innocent no more. Now you threaten them more than once. The play is all messed up. And from a gentleman of this ilk, this is looking bad. It's looking like a mistake. All right? It's looking like a mistake. And not one that you want to double down by making an even longer and even more threatening post. So guess what happens if Offset get hit tomorrow? Guess where they going? To your house, through your phone records, through your computer, through your email. They're going to get a warrant. Because you already told everybody online, don't F with me. It's consequences. So this is what I'm trying to say, bro, before I get out of here. I'm not even getting into all that, what he said to him, this and that. I feel like going on that podcast was the most unstreet thing you could have ever done. It looks super suspicious when you go on a podcast and you bring out paperwork trying to clear the name of your team. and you threaten the man and tell him he wasn't even close to his own brother. That sounds like a hater. That sounds like you got issues with this guy before it even happened. Because there's no way for you to say you wasn't even rocking with him when he was alive. That's what a hater would say. I'm just being honest with you. It ain't none of nobody's business how them dudes was getting down. And for you to say that about somebody who lost, you know families fight. You know that. So Lil Romeo and Master P was at odds for a while. So if one of them would have got hit, would you say, well, you wasn't even rocking with him when he was alive? You wouldn't say that. No one would say that. That's his dad, bro. They made up. People fight, they make up. Things happen. Right? So at the end of the day, right, what I want to say about this before I leave it alone, I'm just trying to bring clarity to it. Right? You put it out there, we got a right to talk about it. I'm just trying to bring clarity to it. I don't see any reason why an OG would be online openly and verbally threatening anyone. I don't see the purpose for that. I don't see what's gained streetwise. The only reason you could be wanting to do that is to impress the people online who are really not real people in the first place. So I don't know what the purpose of this thing was for. And if I'm being honest, the interview, he made some good points if you believe them. He had me second guessing quite a few things. Like, oh, okay, that makes sense. All right, that makes sense, some of that. And then you come with these threats and telling him he wasn't close to his own peoples. And telling them it ain't going to be good for you. I'm going to be honest. If we talking street stuff, that's going to make anybody that's street on the other side of them threats come back with more venom. They're going to have more venom. You're not going to say, don't make me defend myself. That ain't going to be healthy for you. Who do you say that to? And expect nothing back. And then when he defends himself, you come back with more and you calling him this and that. This is what we got to do, bro. Sometimes us older guys have to understand if we're going to claim to stick to a code from our era, then we need to really do it. This internet stuff, not our era. It's not our era. And I think what's going on, no disrespect with Jay Prince, I think there's not enough people from our era around him. I really have to believe it. I don't understand why a grown man of this stature and respect would be online this much, telling this many things about very serious issues and making threats the entire time. I don't know what the threatening is supposed to do out in the streets. I don't know what the threatening of Offset, who is clearly a rapper, is supposed to do in the real world. I don't understand what that is supposed to accomplish. A rapper who literally could be your son. I don't understand why a grown man is threatening someone that's probably 20-something years younger than him. I don't understand that. Let's just start there. He's not on your level in any stretch. He's just popular for rapping. He never claimed to be the king of Atlanta, none of that. He never claimed to be the top done-dotted drug dealer, super honcho, none of that. So that I don't understand the threatening of Offset is way out of pocket. I'm just keeping it a buck. I don't understand why Wallo and Gillie would have this interview with all of this information thrown out there without no rebuttal. There is no one to rebut this. So when you had him on, you knew that would be the case. Anything that's thrown out there First of all, setting up the interview in and of itself was already, it was a stretch. So either you were going to talk about this and risk ruining the case, or you weren't going to talk about this and have a vague, vapid interview that went nowhere but in a circle. There is no way to do this interview classy. And apparently that's what happened. You did the interview, now you caused a serious rift that wasn't even known to the public like that. Now it's public. These guys are feuding now over that interview. And I'm just going to keep it a buck with this thing, and I can't do nothing but keep it 100. It looked like everyone on that interview was chasing the clout that it was going to bring. There is no logical way you have that interview and it's not messy. There is no way. You can't, you went on humble, like, oh, you soft-spoken and let him speak. There is no way you're going to do that interview and this wasn't going to happen. Because whatever he said was going to make that camp upset. You had to know that. You had to know that. There is no way to do it. But they did it, and I watched it. It was cringe. You can tell it was not their interview because they weren't doing anything that they normally do. There's no goofy dancing in the beginning. There's no hyping up. None of that. Because it's a different angle, which your show's not about that. That's why you had to change the whole format and make it mad serious. Your show's not about murders, open investigations, and accused killers. Your show supposed to be the furthest thing. What's the name of it? $1 million worth of game. The game spit on that show was all biased to lean one way. So I think Wallo and Gillie did a disservice to the community by doing that episode. I'm just going to keep it a buck. I really wasn't even going to watch it till the entire community started going up in flames about it. So I said, I'm going to watch it. I have to watch it. And I watched it. And this is my result. But I feel like end of the day, I'm going to get out of here. But my whole thing is, we got a long way to go to find out what really happened, which we probably will never know because there's so many confused stories out there. 1 minute it's a dice game, 1 minute it's basketball, and he wouldn't stop talking about basketball, and we tried to apologize to him, and then it just went out of nowhere, and somebody got hit with a gun. Does it make any of this, let's be honest, does it make any sense to you? That all of this was over an argument about who beat who in basketball? Make it make sense that this man is now deceased over arguing about basketball. Now, you could say that's what happened, but it's deeper than basketball, bro. Somewhere, somehow, somebody in this situation had more in their mind than basketball. And they was looking for a reason. And I'm going to leave it at that.
CLB.